Welcome back, and thanks for joining us on What Matters This Week. I'm Lauren Maloney. Burlington Mayor Miro Weinberger is here again. Sir, appreciate you joining us.
It's good to be back with you, Lauren. It's still kind of exciting to be in studios again and have gotten through this long, tough pandemic. It's good to be with you.
Do you think, given this Delta surge, that we hopefully are finally on the other side? I know, as you announced earlier this month, you've got 95% of Burlington City employees fully vaccinated?
So, Lauren, here's how I think we should be thinking about the pandemic right now. I mean, we should be proud and conscious that we have come a long way from where we were, even certainly at the beginning of 2021, even in the spring. Burlingtonians, Vermonters have done such an incredible job at getting vaccinated, and that is a huge difference from where we were just a few months ago. And that is a message that shouldn't get lost, and it's sometimes I think been a little confusing with all the attention on breakthrough infections and whatnot. This continues to be the main tool that we have for addressing this is vaccination. Anyone who is in a position, whether it's as an employer or someone who's influential with others, should still be working towards ensuring that the people they are responsible for, as many of them are as vaccinated as possible. That is what we announced, that all city workers now need to either get tested every week or get vaccinated. And as a result of that policy, we did see a significant uptick, and now more than 95% of city workers are vaccinated. And it's if you look at, you can even see in Vermont, if you compare Chittenden County's infection rates, where we did see the Delta surge, we saw rates go up, but if you compare us versus other counties in Vermont where there are lower vaccination rates, Chittenden County is doing much better. So that really is the central message that people should stay focused on. The vaccinations work. And there are, if you immunocompromised, there are some people who remain vulnerable even after vaccination. And we can't stop thinking about them, and people who are coming into contact with them. At times additional precautions are warranted, but we're in a very different place than we were before.
Let's talk about the downtown. And when it comes to shopping, etc., we are entering such a busy holiday season. Given what we're seeing on the national level when it comes to supply chain issues,
yes,
how can we drive home shopping local this year and hoping to make it a bit easier on people? Because there's a lot of worried people out there.
So, great point, Lauren. We're heading into this key time of year for our retailers. I mean, I think the good news going in, which is stunningly good news, is how well, at least I would say in Burlington, retailers are doing. Many of them are having, not just a better year than 2020, which of course was a terrible year, but 2019 was a quite good year for Burlington retailers, and every retailer I talk to says they're well ahead of where things
better than 2019?
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
So I think we head into this critical season with with retailers generally in better shape than maybe we would have expected, a few months back. In Burlington, we are working very hard for Church Street to be the magical place that it always is during this time of year. That has included some expanded partnerships. We're working with the business community to ensure that Burlington has the safety and the feel that it has in past years. And something else that is new it was built during the pandemic, but it's definitely available again for people, is we have this Love Burlington website, which I really encourage everyone to go to. And it's got lots of ways to search for information and search for what you're looking for. And that's a great way to kind of get prepared and get ready to shop local.
Advertising tool ahead of the season, too.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go on to some important matters when it comes to the city. You and I are chatting on Thursday. It's been a busy week. There's been a lot of talk with the Sears Lane camp. How many people are still there right now?
Lauren, I'm pleased to say, as we are talking late on Thursday, an update from the site earlier in the day is essentially more than 30 people had, through these emergency resources that we were able to mobilize when I announced that we had to disband the camp, more than 30 people have gotten into housing. And we were down to just 2 people left on the site, one of whom already had a housing plan. So basically, virtually everybody that was there a couple weeks ago, that was there earlier this week even, has now found a better housing option, and that's. I'm really grateful about that outcome. I'm grateful to the partners who stepped up and helped us make this happen, and I'm pleased that many people are in a far better housing situation than they were when this began.
When will you officially lock it up then?
We have installed a fence over the course of today.
Okay.
Part of the reason for the fence is to secure the belongings of people who had been staying there. So
those can remain for the time being?
That's right. We have some storage trailers on site that people will be able to access from time to time. So the gate will be open at times, will be closed at other times. We expect very soon, if not tonight, then very soon, there will be no one spending the night there.
Okay, and they'll need permission from the city to get into those locked bins?
That's right. They'll coordinate with our social workers or this group, CVOEO, that has been working with the campers.
This is tied to crime, and that leads us to the situation downtown. I've heard from friends who told me just a couple of weeks ago that Friday, Saturday night on Church Street is vastly different than it used to be when it came to, even a woman walking alone late at night. What's an update on securing safety on this very busy, popular Vermont street?
So, first of all, Lauren, again, we've had, I think it's important for people to understand that the great majority of people who come down, who are coming to Burlington and coming to Church Street in great numbers, the great majority of people are having the great time that and the great experience that Church Street always offers. There have been, at the same time, I have acknowledged many times, we have been struggling over the course of the summer for a variety of reasons to maintain the level of public safety that Burlingtonians and our visitors expect and deserve. This has been precipitated in significant part by this decision that I opposed and worked to overturn, and I'm happy to say finally has been reversed by the City Council, of reducing our officers, the number of officers we had by 30%. We are as a result of that, we're in a period where we have less resources than we should have for ensuring public safety. So what are we doing about that in the short term? We have had a partnership with Chocolate Thunder, this outstanding private security firm that's been working in working in City Hall Park through the summer. We've extended that through this month. We are about to launch an initiative with the Burlington Business Association and other business interests.
Program.
This goes beyond the escort program. This is to have an additional presence of. This is a new. Actually, it's different than that. It's a new version that will have a presence of private security during most hours of the day.
Are we talking about nights and weekends too?
That's right. Nights, weekends, and I don't know exactly the schedule that has been settled on, but it's definitely the idea is to have a presence to ensure that people have the experience that we want them to have in downtown Burlington. Also, another thing that is starting to have a positive impact, we have been we have hired 3 new social workers that work for the city and have helped us make it through this Sears Lane situation, and they are also another resource that helps us work with people, avoid these bad behaviors and really problematic activity that has too often marked this summer. So
have you allayed some of the concerns with these business owners when it comes to employees coming and going who are just in a different position than they normally have been coming to work?
I'm very concerned about that situation, Lauren, and I've definitely worked directly with businesses. And yes, we've been trying these additional strategies, and we're still working at that.
Can you acknowledge, though, that safety is in a different place than we were 3-5 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's no doubt if you look at the number of shooting incidents that we've had this summer, the number of burglaries that we've had in recent months, other indicators such as the number of I will say we're seeing a huge number of needles found around town, which is a new, which is a change. So there's no doubt that there is a shift that coming out of this very challenging pandemic that has been, many of the problems that we were facing before the pandemic are larger and more intense now, whether that's substance use, whether that's mental health issues, and sometimes those factors lead to more criminal incidents as well. It is a hard time. We are working in both the short and long term to turn it around, and I'm confident we can get it there. And I do think the recent steps that we've taken with the City Council to retain officers with incentives and to raise the officer cap, those are important change in the trajectory of the city as well. So
79 officers approved by the City Council, and that doesn't include, the number at the airport.
Exactly. So effectively, right now, a cap of 87, which is a big increase from the 74 cap prior to that change, and to the effective levels that we had dropped. We're now under 70 officers. Good news there. For the first time in almost 18 months, we hired a new officer, and he's off at the academy now. So it's going to.
The onboarding process, as I understand, is very difficult. So how soon is it to actually get somebody on the street?
Well, it's going to be a long process. It is this first officer, will now be at the academy for about 3 months, and then there's a kind of a probationary period after that before they're fully, so it is a long process to go from to creating a new police officer. So this is we are almost certainly going to lose more officers before we can recruit enough new officers to get the numbers back up. So this is going to be something that certainly takes us we're probably going to be talking about into 2022, 2023. At the same time, some of these other pieces of public safety infrastructure, though, we are making progress on now. We have these 3 new additional social workers, these community service officers, non-armed police personnel that can step in for some of the non-violence or non-criminal aspects of the police department's responsibilities, free up capacity for the officers. We have 2 of those new officers hired. We have several other coming that are well into the process. So we have some challenges ahead of us, so there's no doubt about it. I do feel there's a lot of reason to be hopeful we're on a new trajectory and a better trajectory now.
What's the status of the search for a new chief?
It's we have been advertising for the position. We have started the interview process with some candidates, and we have a committee that's assembled to help me vet candidates, and I'm hopeful we'll have some news on this soon.
Do you have finalists yet, or are we at that stage?
We are not at that stage at this point, but we're getting close to it.